Yeah, tell us a little bit about Saroo, the character that you play in Lion.
Where do I begin? Okay, Saroo was a young boy who went scavenging on the trains with his brother one night and gets lost and ends up being hurtled across India. And when he's able to get out of this train, he realizes he's in an environment he doesn't know, that he speaks an entirely different language. He's a small 7-year-old boy who doesn't know what his mother's name is. He calls her Mum, Ummi, and he goes through this horrendous ordeal before he is adopted by this wonderful family in Australia, played by Nicole Kidman and David Wenham. And from there, he grows up as a perfectly adapted young man. And slowly you see these emotions of his past and his history that he suppressed for so long start to bubble to the surface. And that ignites a search for his past and his mother. And that's who Saroo is, yeah.
It's amazing to think it's a true story.
Absolutely.
This really happened.
Yeah.
So what kind of research did you do? There's a book that it's based on. Did you read the book? Did you meet the real guy?
It kind of, as soon as I got the role, I called up my manager and I said, for the next 8 months, I don't want any distractions. I don't want you to send me anything. I want to fully commit to this role because it commands that, it deserves that. We're dealing with a sensitive issue because these people are alive. This relationship that we're depicting, these relationships are still evolving. And so we have to do everything we can to do justice to that. And, it was a process of isolation. I traveled across India on trains, writing diaries, trying to understand what it would be like to be alone. All sorts of strange exercises that Garth would make you do, like sit in front of a mirror and look at yourself for an hour. And it's about looking inside and being completely honest and vulnerable, being able to be confident in that stillness. And then there was the dialect coaching and the physical training and all that kind of stuff. But, I also was lucky enough to meet the real family and Saroo. And they provide the most fuel to the fire. They really want, they make you click it up a gear.
One of the things that the movie does really well, I think, is showing the differences in the cultures, and how that affects Saroo's development. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, I kind of share this part with this amazing 7-year-old child, Sonny, who's plucked from obscurity and was on this film and he's done an incredible job. And he plays the young Saroo, this boy in India, he's kind of Dickensian in a way, his struggle for survival. And when I get into the film, halfway into it, I'm playing the Australian. This is a guy who, even down to the cricket team he supports, he's an Aussie through and through. The environment has dictated him in such a way. And, he has no real... He's tried to suppress that connection to India, and then when he goes to this hotel management course, he starts to hear all these international students talking and the sound of Hindi being spoken and this and that, and it starts to ignite these memories. And that was the journey for me. It was kind of reveling in that space. It's really coming of age. It's about identity, and it's about resilience, in a way.
And family as well.
Completely.
His search for his actual mother and brother, and the relationship that he has with his adopted parents and his adopted brother, and you see the strains that are happening there.
At its core, it's I say it's a story about mothers and sons, and the nuance, the shades of grey is that he had love from both ends of the world. You have this Indian mother, this single mother, who worked as a labourer in a quarry to try and keep her kids fed, and she had 3 children to raise alone. And then you have this, then they're torn from her. And then you have this family in Australia that has got Nicole and David, and they give him so much love. And he is overwhelmed with so much guilt, Saroo, that he's living this amazing privileged life while they could be on the train tracks every night looking for him, scouring those tracks. And it really is about family and these, when you adopt a child, you're giving them a second chance at life. But at the same time, Saroo grew into this pillar for the family of strength. And when these thoughts started to haunt him, that's when he started to become a recluse. And that's when the whole gravitational pull of this family with his other adopted brother, Mantosh, the mother, things started to fray.
And speaking of mothers, Nicole Kidman,
Yeah.
her adopted mother in this film. Talk a little bit about her. I mean, there's a scene in the movie deep into it that's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about working with her.
Nicole's, for a kid from Rayners Lane, which is the last stop on the Piccadilly line in London, to be able to work with Nicole Kidman is just mind-boggling. She's a star in every sense of the word. When she walks in the room, she takes your breath away. But it's a commitment to the work that is the most amazing thing to see. She has a very emotional connection to this film. She's a mother herself with adopted children, and she really dug deep. And that scene was the first thing we shot together, and I've got a front row seat to this amazing performance. It's amazing, yeah.
And then with Rooney Mara too.
I've been spoiled, yeah.
What was it like working with her?
Yeah, Rooney again is just such an enthralling presence on screen, and she's quietly fierce, and being able to share the screen with her, our energies in reality and in the film are so different. I'm this really dark kind of withdrawn human being, and she is the light that keeps trying to pull him back to reality. Be here now with me, stop this crazy search. And we really had to go to some deep places, and it's amazing having such great performers that you can bounce off and develop with.
So much of the film is just you staring at maps and computers. I mean, was that a challenge to express all that internal emotion that was going on in there?
Completely. I've spent a lot of my career staring at computer screens, playing a tech geek here or there or whatever. But this time, it's so much more emotionally commanding, because he's sitting there looking at these blurry pixels and gathering so much pain and history and emotion and memories from these things. And he's, with each click of the mouse, he's getting closer to his mother. And that was the difficulty in the process, because when you're acting it, it's like, all right, sit in front of this screen, and now it's so difficult to do that. But it was lovely, and it's also down to Garth being a great filmmaker.
I was going to ask, what did he give you that helped you? This guy's well known for Top of the Lake. This is sort of a big first feature film for him, or breakthrough feature film for him, and it's a terrific job at it. So what does he give you as a director that helps?
He allowed me to be comfortable being exposed like that. To be completely emotionally, soulfully open and vulnerable is a tough space to be in every day. And we used to, so many techniques. It's funny, when I went into audition, I used to listen to this song, Gustavo Santaolalla, I've forgotten it. He's the composer. Sorry, I'm pronouncing his second name wrong. But from that Inarritu film, and there's this song called Deportation, and I was listening to that, and then when I went into the audition the first time, he's like, we'd been in there for 5.5 hours, and then at the end he's like, I'm just gonna put on a song, and I want you to scream, I want you to roar like a lion. And I'm like, what? He's like, I want you to just let go of everything. And he's like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And he played this song, and it was that one. And I was like, God, this is like a serendipity to this. But he uses music in the scenes. So there's things like that. Or we would do these exercises in India where we would be playing in the leaves with the children, and he would record the sound of the leaves. And when I'm in cold Hobart in Tasmania looking at this blank screen, trying to muster this emotion, he'll start playing the sound of those leaves into the room, and all of a sudden it gives you this instant nostalgia. It's quite amazing.
We've worked with a lot of great directors, going all the way back to your first big breakthrough, Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
We're an awards website, and that was such a Cinderella story, to say the least. Take us back. I mean, you guys, with that film, you just burst onto the scene out of Toronto, I think it was.
Yeah.
After almost going straight to video.
Yeah.
What was the experience like? That was your first big film role and your first big award season.
It was in madness, absolute madness. You know, when you're 17 years old and you just landed your first film gig, and then all of a sudden it goes on to win 8 Oscars. It's insane for anyone. And you know, we were so beautifully naive. That was the great thing about it. You know, you kind of just were wide-eyed and absorbing all of this blur of flashbulbs and joy and all sorts of stuff. And it also is, you know, it's quite overwhelming as well. But it was a beautiful experience and something that allowed me to build a career, you know, for a young Asian guy. You know, it's difficult, you know, talking about roles and stuff, but Slumdog really, you know, showed the industry that, you know, you didn't need to have any movie stars. You could, you know, this was a film entirely set in India with an Indian cast, half of which didn't even speak English, and it went on to do so well. And that opened up the door for so many other projects like this to be able to be greenlit.
Yeah, I think what both that film and this film have in common is the emotional resonance of it.
Yeah.
I mean, at its heart, this is a film about home.
Yeah.
And what home means.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think compels Saroo to find home?
It's just to embrace his mother completely. You know, that was what I was thinking about in every scene, was her smell, her hair, her eyes, because those wouldn't change in all those years, and all those things. He wanted to find her and just tell her he was sorry and that he's okay. And that was in my mind constantly. I was like, wow, that's heavy stuff.